Outlaw David Tulis drove from Saudi Daisy to Hickson this morning. Outlaw because the tag on his car, the car he was driving is also called a motor vehicle, had expired. It expired in January, and here we are, February 4th or 5th, and the little number says, it says Jan, right? And we're now in Feb. So I was illegally driving from point A to point B. And I had the outlaw's perspective. I had the outlaw's sideward glance on side roads and repeated peeks into the rearview mirror to make sure that if I pulled up to a light, the person behind me was not a cruiser, because well, you don't want to get cited to court for having a tag out. But though I was pressed for time, I went to the emissions testing place in Hickson and went through the rigmarole there, spending $9, part of a program that began in Hamilton County in 2005, and requires that vehicles, as they're called, pass emissions tests prior to title and registration and the annual tag renewal. So you have a thing in commerce when you have a car, an SUV, a truck. Those are the normal names of these objects, but they are converted into things that fall under the claims of the law of the Tennessee Code annotated, and they become instruments in commerce subject to regulation. So you don't really own your car. You don't have the free use of your car or truck for your purposes. You have to enter into commerce, and you become an operator. You're not just a person using a car, a motorist, let's say, a traveler. You become an operator in commerce, and you are presumed to be doing everything on the road for hire. That's the fiction into which we enter when we take part in these schemes to enter into commerce as drivers, right? We become travelers, and we're travelers, and we become drivers. And here there was a driver, quote unquote, David Tulis, driving illegally with a tag expired. The car passed emissions. I got the green passing paperwork with the little review request paper clipped on or stapled together on the front, and these items are on my dashboard. So the next step is to hop secretively from my secret location right now to the county clerk's office over on Bonnie Oaks, or maybe downtown. I'm going to not say which one I plan to visit, so that no one will know, right? And I can scurry by the prying eyes of the officer and get my tag on that car updated, so it'll last another year. For 1 year, the car is in good standing. The vehicle, as it's called, is in good standing, and the operator is not claimable. No one can make a claim against him. There's no claim that can be filed. No punishment proposed for the user of that car, the holder of that car, the holder of the title. No one is in trouble if that little point, that little 16 sticker is adorning freshly the plate in the back. Well, this is David Tulis, and we are very pro-government here at our station, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Very, very pro-government. And I say that because I'm a classical liberal, and I know I'm throwing people off here. I'm throwing people off my scent, but I'm getting in the habit of doing that, it seems like, today, with my furtive glances in the mirror and my illegal status. But we do believe in the free market, and as classical liberals, we hold to a position which is unlike that of Republicans and Democrats. We hold to be in favor not of business, right? Not of business, but of the free market, which is a broader category. Business is always a profit-seeking enterprise, usually through the corporate status, and interest in the free market is broader than that, and it sort of allows the operation of business, the greedy business, the money-grubbing business, the cheating business, the good ones, the customer-centric business, all of them, the good and the bad together in the marketplace. The good ones that keep their costs low and their innovations high succeed, right? They succeed. And those that are focused on the dollar, focused on themselves, maybe focused on the past, they tend to not prosper, and they eventually are sold or close or merge into other operations that are more profitable, or change their line of service and adapt to the market conditions. Hopefully, the owners and the investors peering into the future and seeing what is most needed by the people, right? The consumer, the mass of people who are the potential customer of that operation. Well, my name is David Tulis, and we're glad that you're giving us a few minutes of your time here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We cover on our program local economy and the free market in Chattanooga and beyond. And the slogan is a very weak slogan. We are not about government programs. We're not about bailouts and new efforts by corporate giants to feed and clothe and entertain the people. We believe in loving your neighbor and buying local. It's a thing that has a short range. It's not heavy artillery as far as ideas go. Not like Marx's ideas, for example, or even the sort of quasi-compromised ideas of Milton Friedman or John Maynard Keynes or Ben Bernanke or his successor, Grandma Yellen. We don't have strong ideas as they do, right? They have ideas which are ferocious, just simply ferocious, and very well, we could say they're deficit spending oriented, and they believe that if we just borrow enough money, we will all prosper. Our country will prosper. The national government will prosper. Just borrow some more, raise the spending limit, the debt limit. And if we all can just stop saving money, stop investing locally, but take part of the national paradigm, the national consensus, right? The part of the national conversation, our national identity that President Obama spoke about yesterday as he worshiped at the mosque. We've all heard about that, where he says an attack on one religion is an attack on all religions, and so on. Well, that clearly isn't true. I'm sure I don't have to discuss that with you to suggest in your mind what you're already thinking. I'll save myself the words on that. Well, as I thought about my guilty conscience as I went with an expired tag on my car this morning, I thought, well, there's something interesting about that whole conception of the regulatory state. People who live in a state like that don't tend to have grand thoughts. They tend to have constraint on their thoughts. They move fearfully. They are constantly minding strangers from regulators from the state. They're constantly trying to make sure that they get their due in the tax code, right? Everything is premised on the regulatory structure of the state, the tax structure of the state, and a great deal of energy goes into that. In fact, if you try, there are studies from the Tax Foundation and other bodies that point out how many billions of dollars go into compliance, right? Compliance expense in business. And the thought that occurred to me was how when you live in a world like that, a world that's not free, a world where government has seized control of commerce, which is what has really happened, then your reality is, my pleasant drive in is defined somehow by this conception that somehow this car is not legal, that somehow this car is not right, and I'm in danger. I'm putting other people in danger. I could be stopped at any time. Think if I had been stopped, the officer could have said, well, sir, you cannot drive this vehicle. We're going to have to pull you over, and you're going to have it towed because you can't safely drive this car. And of course, you almost believe him. You almost, like someone facing interrogation, you start admitting to a crime you didn't commit. You believe, well, yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's probably true. If this car is dangerous to people if it's not properly tagged. And I clearly, if I'm driving it, I'm not safe either. So I've got to just hire a cab to get myself to work today. Well, if you know, no tag, there's no honor, there's no right to do anything. And we're all in this state supervised field, this field of administrative law. Now, if you want to find out what administrative law really means, you'll have to go to the website for The Man Who Matters. It's not popular, but it has, I've been developing the past few weeks this theme about administrative law and its incredible reach. And there is uplifting news, and the uplifting news is that system, the most dangerous threat to liberty, which one legal historian calls the seventh legal revolution. There were 6 others before that affected the way men interact with law. And the scholar, his name is Berman, and he's mentioned in Nooganomics.com this morning. If you go to that website, you can read why I think it's worth mentioning him and the great prospect. The story is about 3D printing, and I hope we can mention how the idea of 3D printing, which we have some exciting news about in Chattanooga. The 3D printing is a picture of the future. It is a hint of what's ahead in the next maybe 25 to 75 years, past your lifetime, probably, you, my listener. But in this, you might say it's a devolution of what we have now. It is a decentralization of the centralized administrative law controlled system that we have now. And maybe you think, well, maybe David, you're spending too much time talking about this web, all right? This web of administrative law, and here you've been looking at this legal conflict and touching on the use of the roads, and a valiant Tennessean who is a common laborer, just a common laborer who has spent some time in some law books, fighting off two sets of accusations by the state of Tennessee because he's exercising his right to travel. And you're spending a lot of time on that point. Don't you think we should move on and talk about the glowing reports that we have from the Chamber of Commerce, for example? There's been, I spent some time, I think yesterday morning, looking at a report about the multiplier effect on local investment in local businesses. Talk about that. That's really much more valuable. Well, it is, and it really is more valuable. But on the other hand, I think if we're going to get down to the nexus of our problem, we have to see why we deserve the problem that we have. We deserve it. Well, that's really another question. The why is another question. It's sort of, I would say it's the theological explanation, but the how is what I've looked at. The how of the administrative realm of the state. And Gary North, in an essay that I quote in some detail today at Nooganomics.com, explains this revolution. It's a revolution against the administrative state. It is not a direct attack. It's not like Lenin and his forces, his socialist and communist forces, throwing their bombs at the White Guard at the Russian palace. That it's not that kind of a direct assault. It is rather a kind of a bypassing of this system of centralization. The system of centralization is administrative in nature. It's corporate in nature. It is totally impersonal. Okay, it's impersonal. The scale of the operations, there are many of them. They're interlinked. They're combined. They're combines with interlinking boards interlinking through their membership, and that whole world, of course, is modern debt capitalism, modern corporate capitalism, and corporate statism or statism. I'd say statism. And these combine together to give us the world we have today, which is raping the environment. We could say it is raping the people. It is skimming the people's wealth. It is debasing their medium of exchange, debasing their store of value. The people in this system are being harvested. We are being harvested day by day by this bureaucratic and corporate machine. And in some respects, you could say, the Occupy, the left wingers at Occupy, Wall Street, and others are saying some of the same things, and maybe they are. It could be that they're borrowing from the libertarian analysis. Their solution, though, is not the marketplace. It never is the marketplace. It is always, the Keynesianist, the Keynesian on steroids, Bernie Sanders. We just have to have more free universities and increase the national debt and raise taxes and enhance the administrative state. That's all effectively he's doing. He's not, and of course, he has many followers among young people, just as Rand Paul and Ron Paul, his father, have tremendous following among young people who are disaffected with what we have surrounding Hamilton County, surrounding Chattanooga today. And the Marxist solution, the socialist-oriented solution of the Bernie Sanderses and Mr. Clinton's wife's ideas, they are again, you might say pro-government. Now, I say pro-government in a different sense than I refer to myself. I'm pro-government in the sense that you and I, my listener, agree that without self-government, we deserve tyranny. So self-government is essential for the marketplace, essential for liberty. and the creation of capital, the creation of wealth that gives people options into the future, right? That's what wealth does. Capital gives you options for future action, future construction, future factories, future projects, future services, future medical programs, future missionary efforts, all these things, future churches, right? Church plants. These all come from capital. Capital is existing strength to move something in the marketplace. Debt gives you momentarily capital, but of course debt drags from behind, constantly drags, so that your movement eventually is halted, like Gulliver tied down by the Lilliputians with hundreds and hundreds of little pieces of string that morning when he's washed up on the beach there in Jonathan Swift's book Gulliver's Travels. That's what we have. That's the pro-government perspective of Mrs. Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Now I'm pro-government because self-government is essential first. They don't believe that. They believe in the the Lilliputian form where there's a tying down the great visitor and incapacitating him. The marketplace is a giant too, and we want it to be unfettered. And it rises in the future. It rises around you. It rises in your own billfold if you have character, if you have self-government. So self-government. If you love self-government, that means you're pro-government. Okay, never forget that. That is a way to talk with your doctrinaire left-wing friend who thinks, the good Marxist who's going to vote for Ted Cruz, maybe, right? Because Cruz is a statist and a great centralizer, just like all the rest of them, right? Rubio, any one of them, some good Marxists could vote for them and say, well, this man is going to make our country great. Well, he sure will if he gets elected. So where do we stand then on this question of the marketplace? The marketplace, again, typified. I want to suggest typified by Branch Technology and Platt Boyd. These men are this man and his board and his colleagues are mentioned today in the Chattanooga Times Free Press. The story's headline is "Tennessee's Top Accelerator Program Stops in Chattanooga," and I believe this is today. Yes, today, and this picture of the marketplace developing is decentralizing because it allows there to be the factory in your basement, the factory in your garage. And the future holds a decentralization of manufacturing, a removal of manufacturing from the constraints of geography. So rather than have one giant plant, such as Volkswagen here in Chattanooga, being vulnerable to local jurisdictions, local governments, and unions, the threat of the union, you can have in every garage in the country, you can have a 3D printer. And if you go to Nooganomics.com, you can see a picture of the printer that Branch Technology is using to build houses. And it's a freestanding printer. It's not one that has a frame inside of which some object is manufactured. It is a freestanding printer that makes very powerful, very, very strong and light walls that are not just straight and flat either. They can have shapes. They can be curved, and the wall goes around these sort of this sort of interlacing of plastic, which is the means of this process called additive manufacturing. The story lead says the state's top accelerator program rolled through Chattanooga on Wednesday as part of a week-long 10 roadshow aimed at giving 8 participant startups chances to network and find potential investors. Branch Technology, the story says, is based in Chattanooga, and Company Lab, Will This Float winner, Innovation Corp of Knoxville also is part of this event. Branch is the world's largest free-form, has the world's largest free-form 3D printer, and will be building houses and large structures. There's a quote here from Platt Boyd in the Chattanooga Times Free Press story. Architects are amazingly frustrated with traditional options. The new technology allows for the customization of buildings without extra cost. The company plans to build the first ever 3D built house, a demo house here in Chattanooga. And 750 parties have submitted designs for this effort. This spring, the story says, a jury of architects and engineers will decide on the winner of this category in a grand prize category. There will also be a People's Choice category voted on by the public. For now, the company is partnering with a dozen architectural firms across the country to investigate the industry's needs. And there'll be an architects group meeting here on the 17th of this month. Branch moved from Alabama to Chattanooga after it took part in the Company Labs Gig Tank Accelerator in the summer of 2015. This is David Tulis. We've got a lot to get to, I think, on this point of the breaking up of these centralized systems. And I think these centralized systems held up by the filmy web of administrative law, of government regulation, government permissions at every point, where nothing can really exist without a government permission of some kind. That system is being bypassed by technology and the market. We're brought to you by Superior Air Systems. Call Superior Air 886-6602.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
After a few early morning clouds, lots of sunshine for your Friday. A little breezy and cooler. Highs struggling to hit 50 tonight. Lows 30 to 32. The weekend, though, looking great. Lots of sunshine. Highs tomorrow much warmer, around 60. Continue dry and pleasant through Sunday. As an entrepreneur, you're always on the go. Turn your mobile phone into a business phone with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Get a local or toll-free number. For more, grasshopper.com. NI-SOURCE Gene Walls, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business and becoming self-sufficient. Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years, a 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. 875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Call me now, 875-5621.
While politicians debate climate change and taking our guns, they leave America vulnerable to disaster. You need to act now to keep your family safe and prepared. Do you have an emergency plan? Do you have long-term storage food? Do you have the skills and mindset to survive a disaster? If not, what are you waiting for? Call P5 Preparedness right now, 423-602-2175. Do you honestly think the government is going to help you? If you do, you are wrong, dead wrong. Don't get caught unprepared. Let the experts at P5 Preparedness get you ready for any emergency or disaster situation. Today, we offer a wide range of classes for the beginner on how to prepare, as well as the expert prepper. We stock a wide range of supplies, including long-term storage food, water filtration, outdoor gear, tactical gear, and plate carriers. P5 Preparedness, East Brainerd Road, between I-75 and Gun Barrel Road. You will see the Army Deuce and a Half truck. 423-602-2175, 1309 Panorama Drive, Chattanooga. P5Preparedness.com.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, the home of Super Bowl 50. From pregame to postgame, the Panthers face the Broncos. Here on the exciting action live, Tennessee Valley's home for the NFL and Super Bowl 50. AM 1240 HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. The back and forth continues between the top two contenders in the GOP race for the presidency. Donald Trump alleging Ted Cruz.
Some of the campaign tactics that Cruz used were dirty tricks, if not fraud. Speaking specifically about the campaign staffers for the Cruz team that had told their precinct captains at the Iowa caucuses that Ben Carson had dropped out of the race based upon what they had inferred from a CNN report.
Fox's Carl Cameron. Cruz apologizing to Carson and accusing Trump of of throwing a Trumper tantrum, saying,
"It seems his reaction to everything is to throw a fit."
Democrats Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders slated to meet in a one-on-one debate tonight. A court date for the former Oklahoma highway patrolman charged with sexually assaulting 3 women during traffic stops. And first-time jobless claims for last week rising to 285,000. That level still near historic lows. Fox News, we report. You decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A shooting on Brainerd Road caused a 7-car pileup yesterday at 10:45 a.m. An SUV was fired upon by an unknown assailant. A pregnant woman was inside the car. She was unharmed. It doesn't appear that anyone was seriously injured during this altercation or during the crash. The CPD violent crime investigators are still following all leads at this time. There is no suspect information or motive available now. The CPD is asking anyone with any information regarding this crime to call 423-698-2525. The investigation is still ongoing. More information will be released when it's available. The CPD arrested 2 men on Wednesday on Jersey Pike after seeing them allegedly smoking marijuana inside their car. An officer approached the vehicle and detained the 2 men. Further investigation revealed that the 2 occupants of the car were in fact armed. They were arrested for possession of a controlled substance and possessing a firearm with the intent to go armed.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio. We are here and glad that you are giving me, David Tulis, a few minutes of your time. Make sure that you go to Wimpy's today and have lunch. Great place for lunch in Saudi Daisy, where there's a great table at the front when you come in, and there are all kinds of local people there. And David have a broiler going on out on the side. Usually seems to be running. And they are making the best kind of barbecue you could eat. There's great breakfast, great lunch, solid American fare, and it's worth the ride to go to Wimpy's in Saudi Daisy, very southern place opposite City Hall. At Wimpy's, the real things are decided. I do thank you for thinking about that. Also, make sure that if you have any needs for a cell phone screen to be repaired, that you get $10 off on a repaired screen on your phone or smart device. Just mention David Tulis or mention the radio station. This particular radio station, we are Hot News Talk Radio. That's the Cell Surgeon next to Old Chicago's Pizza in Northgate. It's open Sunday, open till 7 most days, and the number is 668-0100, 668-0100. Mention me and you'll get $10 off. That's $10 off on a screen repair on your smartphone or your device. That's a good deal, and you will be well taken care of, very swiftly dealt with. Your device, that is by Adam and Anthony in Northgate Mall. It's right on the front. You can't miss it. It's right next to Old Chicago's Pizza, and have your work done there. And in most cases, it's 30 minutes to have it taken care of. The question I guess we have is how is economic development best to be encouraged? Do we want to have people actively in government and in government-sponsored trade groups, luring outside people in, outside investors, outside corporations into Chattanooga and Helena County, and begin operations? Or is there something that's organic that we can encourage and desire? I don't know that you or I can do anything ourselves to make the right thing happen, but is it possible for us to want the right thing? I think if we all want what's right and true, we might be providentially blessed over time for having the right desires, though we can't fulfill our desires or see them fulfilled in the larger context of our county and our city. What is economic development? Well, economic development in the free market sense is a reduction of burdens outside non-marketplace burdens on the businessman, the investor, the capitalist, the entrepreneur. The fewer constraints they have on their time, their money, and their energy, the more likely they will be to prosper, assuming they have the best ideas and the best products and services. They will prosper. That is economic development. It happens without there being a goad, an agency making it happen, without subsidies or without special favors. And yet we have an alternative argument that is the standard practice, and we read about it yesterday out of the Chattanooga area Chamber of Commerce. According to Nooga.com, a staff report, the economic impact results for last year, there's a big number. It's going to catch your eye that the Chamber of Commerce assisted in economic development projects that will create, the story says, nearly 5,000 jobs. Jim Coppinger, the county mayor, says in a quote in the Nooga.com story, it takes an economic development team to create results like those we have enjoyed. And we're fortunate that our local, regional, and state economic development professionals and elected officials work tirelessly to position us as the best choice for business to locate. Now, there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. He's right. If you're a county mayor, these are what you have to say. You really can't not say things like this, okay? But there's a truth that's kind of slipping around the signs of that fine statement quoted in the press. We are fortunate to have people working in this direction, okay? We are, but is there a better way? Is there a better way where there's not a positive action by tax-funded entities, but rather a retreat of tax entities and tax-funded entities, allowing for a reduction of the noise and the friction that the marketplace has sort of built into it today in our welfare state, our democracies, as we're sometimes referred to. Our democracies have this continuing friction and noise, this kind of static that is very, very damaging, especially to the smallest prospects in the startup world. The startups, we should have 3 times the number of startups in Chattanooga per year than we have now, and we think we're well off in Tennessee, the volunteer state, because when we compare ourselves with other states, such as Connecticut, such as perhaps Michigan or Kentucky, we may actually have better numbers. And if you look at the data, the government collected data, we may have advantages over other states. But still, if you look just in terms of the market, if you use the marketplace as your comparison, a free marketplace, you can project 300% in growth and existing businesses compared to what we have now. I would say 300% is a very conservative number. It could be 400% or 500%, meaning 4x or 5x what we've got now in the way of prospering new businesses and startups. Is there some way we could become a county free market trade zone? Is it possible? Is it possible? Well, I throw that out there because someone who not you've got other plans going, but someone who hears about these proposals will start thinking about them, and maybe 20 years from now be able to do something in this direction, where we become a beacon of political liberty, legal liberty, and economic opportunity. As there are experiments elsewhere in the world where these things are being done, and I think in Costa Rica is the nearest example. There's a Mayor Andy Burke quote, "The city and our partners will continue to focus on smart economic development and creating more jobs to reach more Chattanoogans." That means a focus on several sectors, including high-tech companies moving into our innovation district, as well, he says, as leveraging our assets by attracting companies that complement existing businesses. Again, fine quote. You would expect the mayor to say that. He says very well parsed sentences, and we understand that the mayor will focus on economic growth. He wants it to be smart, and the easy measurement of growth, of course, is jobs. But on the other hand, think about this: if you're measuring economic growth by the creation of jobs, you're not really focusing on the right thing. You want to create profit, right? Jobs are the biggest expense of every business. Why would you want to focus on the jobs created? Well, maybe because you view the population as largely employed in terms of employment, right? They are employees they are not really entrepreneurs. I don't think we want more employees in Chattanooga. And though we might want there to be more jobs, on the other hand, we don't want there to be more employees. We want there to be more employers. Now, you see how I'm framing the argument much differently than these estimable elected officials here in Hamilton County. Yes, we need more jobs, but on the other hand, we need more, which implies employees. But yes, what we need to have are more employers. If they prosper and they expand, they'll have to hire people. Okay, I think the emphasis needs to be not on the fruit of capitalism. We could say employment and contracts. We need to encourage the fountain of capitalism, which is the entrepreneur himself. His ability to raise capital, his ability to work unfettered, to serve other people in his particular marketplace. That is what I think we need to focus on. And as I see it, that effort, whether by man or woman, black or white, Muslim or Christian, that effort needs to be not encumbered, not having continual liens thrown against it by paperwork, by bean counters, right? People who produce nothing and yet are there to control them and regulate them and ensure public safety, public order, et cetera, et cetera. The whole police operation of the modern state. And the surveillance operation, right? The tax operation, the permission, the business by license operation. That is a hindrance to the good things that we're seeing here. And we have 4,995 jobs being claimed as credit by the Chamber of Commerce. Well, it could be, why not in the same period of time mentioned, 2015? Why not 15,000 jobs? Well, we can just dream, I suppose. We can just have wishful thinking. Is that what I'm doing here? Is that what David Tulis, your host here, is engaging in? Wishful thinking? Well, I understand that I may be subject to that snide accusation, but we can have wishful thinking if we have the right premise. The right premise is small business. The right premise is not luring employers here, but creating employers here. And if you're going to create an employer, you have to start with the man who begins the operation, right? The entrepreneur who starts with one man, or maybe two, a friend and himself, or maybe the one man and his wife. It's really her business, right? She's got the idea. She started out on Etsy, right? The little online shopping mall, and she has got a terrific idea. And this man, who is her lover, the father of her children, he is going to invest in her, and he's going to get out of his 401k to do it. That couple, the woman and her husband, who's got a full-time job slaving away for somebody else's prosperity, he is going to help her, and they are going to be the germ, right? The embryo of a new business, which 10 years from now could have 10 people employed, 15 people employed, plus a warehouse of packers and shippers that assist in the operation. Well, that is what we need to have more of. We need to have an emphasis, I think, in our thinking, right? We're talking here just about ideas, right? We're not actually, I'm not proposing that anybody do anything, but I'm proposing that you, my listener, think in terms of the marketplace, the larger marketplace where there are not important officials. In a marketplace in which an important man, a mayor, a governor, is really just kind of so much dicta. His words are interesting, but they really have no significance because he has no significance. Why does he have no significance? Well, because he's not a producer, right? He's a governor, right? Or he's a mayor. He's a senator. He's a commissioner. These are people who don't produce, even though, of course, some of them in their private lives are producers. They are capitalists and entrepreneurs, but in their offices, they are not producers. They are simply regulators. They're simply people who, in fact, create burdens on the marketplace with their desire to help, right? It's always a desire to help. It's always a desire to provide public services and to make sure the school system can account for new people who come to Chattanooga to work at the factory. Well, my name is David Tulis, and I do thank you for being forbearing with me as we think about sustainable economic development. Sustainable economic development is less that you have a company lured to Chattanooga by the Chamber of Commerce Foundation that hires 100 people. Sustainable economic development is more like this, that you, my listener, start your own little business with one person, one man. You're the man who matters, and it starts with you. You are going to start your business. You still hold on to your second gig, right? Your main gig, your employment. You're still there, but you're working on something that's your own doing, your own effort, and you're going to invest in it. You're going to put money into it. You're going to invest in it in research. You're going to look at the marketplace. You're going to do some traveling. You're going to interview people. You're going to buy some books. You're going to read some trade periodicals. You're going to bone up and get ready to enter that market because you have an idea. That is your effort that I'm proposing. That is what we need to support. That is what we need to hail. We need to hail you, my listener, you, the restaurateur, you, the small businessman with the cleaning service, you, the man in the medical field who's got something going, you, the man who runs the office in your service. That is what we need to have more of. And I think we want those things. Maybe in God's providence, if he decides to bless us amid the judgment that's ahead, we will be more sustainable. We'll have a sustainable marketplace. The great danger in the marketplace is administrative law. And if you go to Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters, you can read my discussion about why this matters and how I'm showing an antithesis between two things: the clash between the administrative realm of government, which is against liberty, right? It is against liberty to have a governing system like that. And administrative law is virtually a totally encompassing system of law that makes everything subject to the state, almost everything. And against that, I got these two sides, right? You got antithesis, there's conflict, right? A clash. On one side, you've got administrative law and the state. On the other side, you've got the digital economy. And I want to tell you about Branch Technology. I've got a photograph of its freestanding printer at Nooganomics.com. It's a photograph that comes off of it may come off of 3dprint.com, which is a website about the 3D printing industry. It is a 3D printing, again, suggests decentralization in the area of making things. You can make things now apart from an assembly line that hires people. You can make things now by owning a printer and in alliance with others, under contract with others, sharing software, sharing apps, sharing data. You can create things or parts of things in your garage. That is the future of manufacturing. And Branch Technology and Platt Boyd, who runs that with a few colleagues here in Chattanooga, they are making a picture of the future. And let's hope that it is the end over time, the falling into disuse, I think the word is desuetude, the disuse of the modern state. The modern state is losing ground. It's losing ground. And administrative law, thanks to freedom fighters like Jay Hirsch in Lawrenceburg, who's doing it legally, and thanks to people such as Platt Boyd doing it economically in the marketplace, this system of control, this dead hand system in a bankrupt welfare state, that is the future. That is the direction of the economy. And I'd like you to think that this is the direction of local economy here in Chattanooga, in Ooltewah, in Red Bank, in Saudi Daisy, in what used to be called Tiftonia, in the North Shore, on the South Side, in Ringgold, in East Ridge, in Cleveland, Tennessee, there, in Dayton, Tennessee, in Dunlap, Tennessee, and in towns around us. This is the direction. And let's hope that that there can be less bloodshed. I talked with a man the other day who fears bloodshed. He fears that there will be, among those who love liberty in the marketplace and those who want to maintain the status quo, there will be bloodshed. There will be some, no doubt, but I think that that is a fear that's overblown. We can accomplish the counter-revolution, right? What we're seeing is not a revolution. It's a counter-revolution against the total state, the welfare state, the debt-run state, the deficit spending, John Maynard Keynes theory state. The end is ahead. And if you read, if you go to Nooganomics.com, you can read my essay today on that. And especially now, the half of that text is from Gary North. Gary North, in a terrific essay. I copied just the second half of it, and he talks about how politics is impotent to change this dynamic. Politics cannot change the dynamic. It cannot bring liberty, cannot bring the end of the welfare state. It's not going to happen politically. It'll happen through market forces and through the great debacle, the great reckoning ahead. There is a reckoning ahead, and we saw signs of it in 2007 and 8. That system is extraordinarily shaky. It is brittle. It is non-responsive. It is a financial and economic monoculture, and signals about disaster are not heard, right? Signals about the need to liquidate, the need to stop subsidizing, the need to stop production. Those signals are not being heard in that system. And so there is effectively a depression ahead. North says politics is impotent to change this. Politics is unaware of it. Those few laws that get passed by Congress and signed into law by the president are then administered by the federal bureaucracy, and there's almost nothing that a president or Congress can do to stop it. Occasionally, the Supreme Court may hand down a ruling that will stop some minor aspect of the expansion of the federal bureaucracy, but this is rare. He makes a reference to Harold Berman, the legal historian, whose history, he says, is perhaps the most important book you can read, and it's called Law and Revolution. It came out in 1983. And he says Berman did not see anything on the horizon that would indicate a rollback of administrative law. And in a way, I don't either. I don't see how it's happened, except through a valiant Christian laborer whose work is described on Nooganomics.com, and through the marketplace. The example I give today is Platt Boyd of Branch Technology. One thing can't stop at the great default, Nora says. As long as the money rolls in, whether taxed, borrowed, or printed, administrative law courts are going to expand their jurisdictions, and our freedom is going to be constrained. Something else is shrinking it. Moore's Law. This was best described in Kurzweil's article. The escalating effect of Moore's Law in reducing the cost of information is changing the whole world in ways we can barely perceive today. He says there is no way that any federal bureaucracy can keep up with the social, economic, educational, and political transformations that are taking place as a result of Moore's Law. Now, Moore's Law says effectively that you're going to have to just hang on. I've got Dick Cook coming on next. Dick Cook is the operator of East Ridge News Online. We've got some big news coming out of East Ridge. Superior Creek Lodge is the main point. I've got some things I want you to hear. Hang on.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd, right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
In the middle of our street. Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at sabrinarealty.com.
Our house in the middle of our street.
Lay your burdens down at the Wood House. Leave all your worries at the door.
The perfect gift for the perfect match. Surprise her with a Woodhouse gift card. Call us today at 423-443-4478 or visit us online at chattanooga.woodhousespas.com.
You need a place for your party or maybe a wedding reception for 100 or even more. Maybe you'd like to host a small trade show for your business and you need a very affordable venue. Are you looking for a place for your birthday gala or services to start up a church? Look no further than the Hidden Gem in Hickson. It's an overlooked, newly appointed reception hall right here in Hickson, Tennessee. Big space, small price. That's right, big space, small price. Call Mr. Chu and ask for a tour. 316-7388. That's 423-316-7388. He'll tell you a lot more about the venue. Rent this venue today. Just call 423-316-7388 and ask for Mr. Chu. For Hot News Talk Radio listeners only, P5 Preparedness is having a clothing sale. 10% off. 10% off. Give them a call, 423-602-2175, or go to their Facebook page, P5 Preparedness. 10% off of clothing. 10% off of clothing. You have to ask for it. 423-602-2175. That's 423-602-2175. 10% off of clothing. P5 Preparedness. P5 Preparedness. 10% off. For Hot News Talk Radio listeners only, go to their Facebook page, P5 Preparedness. Chattanooga Patriots Prepper Show every Thursday from 11 to noon on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. I'm the type of guy that likes a big breakfast, a couple of eggs, bacon, and some gravy and biscuits. I get that at Wimpy's. I know they have specials at lunch every day. That includes a big meat and three menu. At night, I want some good comfort food. Maybe some smoked brisket, pulled barbecue, or ribs. They've got that too. Wimpy's the type of place where you can go in and have a good conversation, catch up what's going on in Saudi Daisy, and have some great food. That's why I go to Wimpy's. You know where it's at, on Dayton Boulevard, right across from City Hall. That's Wimpy's. Give them a call, 423-332-6201. Did you hear me? It's 332-6201. Wimpy's. They're even on Facebook at Wimpy's. I know your mouth is watering just like mine. So let's go to Wimpy's.
Save $40 on having your 1040 done at Eric Pelton Company on Brainerd Road and in Saudi Daisy. That's $40 off his regular low price. Eric Pelton helps you save more of what you've earned. Make sure to get Form 2045 from your insurer. You'll need that to show proof of insurance. Audits, proposed return changes, 1099, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services bring peace of mind and help you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices in Brainerd and Saudi. That's EJ Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead.
What are you going to get your sweetie for Valentine's Day? I'm going to Carter Shooting Supply.
Carter Shooting Supply?
That's right, Carter Shooting Supply. They're having a great sale on all of their guns right now, and it's name brands like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Springfield, their AR-15s. They've got the hottest gun in the land right now, the Sky 9mm. Man, it comes in all the cool colors. If you're an Alabama fan, they've got crimson. If you're a big orange fan, they've got an orange one. You know, all the women are loving the pink one and Tiffany blue. Plus, it has a lifetime warranty replacement. If the gun is stolen, all you need is your police report or receipt, and they'll replace it free. It has a 60-day full money-back guarantee. That's Carter Shooting Supply. They're in Harrison right there at 6210 Highway 58.
Are they online?
Yes, they are. That's cartershootingsupply.com, or give them a call, 423-344-1099. Now, this sale's not going to last too long, so you need to hurry up and get there. And they do have a great indoor shooting facility. You can get your Tennessee handgun carry permit also. That's Carter Shooting Supply, 423-344-1099.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
We do the best quality work. We have the best customer service, the most competitive prices around.
Cell Surgeon, a painless operation to fix your sick device.
Well, if you have a cheap charger, something that's not really designed for your phone, it can mess with your battery. It can actually fry your phone. So you need to make sure you have a quality product that's going to be designed for your phone.
Cell Surgeon, your smartphone doctor's in the house at the Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
If you charge it in the morning and, by noon, it's at, 50% under normal use. That means your battery's pretty much dead. And once you've reached that point, it starts to deteriorate.
Cell Surgeon, call 423-668-0100 or go to cellphonerepairchattanooga.com.
We do free estimates. So if your phone's not working properly, bring it in when we weren't happy to take a look at it and diagnose it and see what we think is wrong with it at no charge. Most phone repairs can be done in 30 minutes or less.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza.
Don't take it in the bathroom. Don't ever put it in your back pocket. And don't charge your phone while you're sleeping.
Cell Surgeon, an affordable quick fix for your smartphone and tablet in Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Call 423-668-0100 or go to cellphonerepairchattanooga.com. That's cellphonerepairchattanooga.com. Cell Surgeon.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Saudi Daisy, Chattanooga. CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. The CEO, who's been vilified as the poster boy for corporate greed, has just left Capitol Hill. His appearance before a House committee was short and not very sweet.
Live to CBS News congressional correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
Wearing a broad smile, a blazer, and no tie, Martin Shkreli repeatedly refused to answer questions from members of Congress. House Oversight Chairman Jason Chaffetz asked the former CEO what he'd tell a woman with no income who needed his firm's life-saving drug.
What do you say to her? On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Shkreli's firm ramped up the cost of the drug 5,000%. Republican Trey Gowdy asked this.
Is it pronounced Shkreli?
Yes, sir.
See, there you can answer some questions.
Members of Congress from both parties said they felt treated with disdain. Shkreli was excused. Frank?
Another big airbag recall's in the works. CBS's Jeff Gilbert has that from Detroit.
This recall involves airbags that may not deploy when needed. The failure traced to an airbag control unit made by supplier Continental. While those units may be in as many as 5 million vehicles, the only recalls announced so far involve Honda Accords, Dodge Journeys, and some Chrysler, Dodge, and Volkswagen minivans from the 08 to 2010 model years.
The government says the nation's productivity fell off a cliff in the final 3 months of 2015. Some economists worry the downturn signals an extended period of weakness, but others, like Nariman Berevish, expect a rebound.
We think that's a little bit of a fluke, that we'll probably in the first quarter we'll see us move back into positive territory.
Democratic presidential candidates Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton will debate face-to-face tonight. In separate warm-up appearances at a CNN forum, they traded jabs over who's moderate and who's progressive.
You can't be a moderate and a progressive. They are different.
Senator Sanders has set himself up to be the gatekeeper on who's a progressive.
On the Republican side, Marco Rubio is surging. Aides to Chris Christie and Jeb Bush have been working together behind the scenes to slow him down. On the CBS Health Watch, a stem cell treatment could be a lifesaver for people with a potentially deadly medical condition.
It's type 1 diabetes. People who have it can't produce insulin, the hormone that converts sugar in the blood into energy. Scientists with Johnson & Johnson and the biotech company ViaCyte are working on a treatment that involves turning stem cells into insulin producers, putting them in a protective capsule and implanting that under the skin. Doctors say it's proved successful in mice. They've begun testing it in people. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
A man whose store sold a California lottery ticket worth $63 million can't understand it. No one has claimed the prize, and the deadline is today.
Every day I get somebody coming in saying, oh, I wish it was me. Oh, I think it is me. I'm like, go home and check your ticket.
The man who claims his winning ticket was rejected is suing the lottery. In early trading, the Dow Industrials are down 42 points. This is CBS News.
It's happening to you every night. One snores and the other can't sleep. It seems like there's no end to it. But now there is a quick and easy to use solution, a natural solution. Snore Stop. Snore Stop was created and tested by a team of doctors and has been helping couples sleep for over 18 years. It is the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S.
Thank you, Snore Stop. You saved my marriage.
Snore Stop sprays or tablets are now available nationwide at a store near you, or you can go online at snorestop.com. Don't wait. It's time to try Snore Stop and make every night a better night for both of you.
Thanks, Snore Stop. Now I'm back in the bedroom.
So don't wait. Try Snore Stop, the #1 selling anti-snoring medicine in the U.S. Spray or tablets are available today at a store near you or online at snorestop.com. That's snorestop.com. Snore Stop, keeping you together.
A development in the case of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange may or may not signal a turn in his status. We get the latest from London and CBS's Larry Miller.
Julian Assange took refuge in Ecuador's London embassy to avoid arrest on Swedish sex crime allegations. A UN panel will reportedly say he's been unlawfully detained. If so, Assange says he wants his freedom, but Britain warns if he leaves the embassy, he'll be arrested. Assange says he fears U.S. prosecution over WikiLeaks' release of 750,000 military and diplomatic documents leaked to it by former American soldier Bradley, now Chelsea Manning.
And a short time ago, Sweden confirmed the report about the UN panel. Authorities in upstate New York say a man charged with beating his girlfriend and holding her hostage compounded the felony when he tried to smuggle prescription drugs into county jail. They say a search found the contraband in the man's prosthetic leg. Frank Sedapani, CBS News.
After a few few early morning clouds, lots of sunshine for your Friday. A little breezy and cooler. Highs struggling to hit 50 tonight. Lows 30 to 32. The weekend, though, looking great. Lots of sunshine. Highs tomorrow much warmer, around 60. Continue dry and pleasant through Sunday. As an entrepreneur, you're always on the go. Turn your mobile phone into a business phone with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Get a local or toll-free number for more, grasshopper.com. NI-SOAR Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
There was big news in Brainerd yesterday afternoon with a shooting along Brainerd Road. A vehicle shot full of holes, a pregnant woman inside. Just further south, not too far away, across the or near the Georgia border, just nearby in the next little town of East Ridge, there is big news as well, covered by Dick Cook. Dick Cook is a former Times Free Press reporter. He worked there for 20 years, left in 2007, and he is the editor and the publisher of an online news platform called EastRidgeNewsOnline.com. If you were following the story of Superior Creek Lodge last year, you were reading Dick Cook at East Ridge News Online. And so I have Dick on the phone. I want to ask him the big story about East Ridge, including Superior Creek Lodge, but one that has dominated the interest of residents in that municipality, and that is the resignation of Tracy Malone, a coach. Dick, what happened to Tracy Malone? Why did he resign?
Well, David, Malone resigned. To my understanding, there was an incident in the weight room at East Ridge High School on Monday, and a couple of kids, you know how jocks are occasionally, they get amped up, they're aggressive, competitive. A couple of kids got into it. There was some quote-unquote horseplay, and the allegation is that Malone was not in the classroom and didn't break up the altercation. I don't know him personally. I'm acquainted with him, having been the football coach, and when I cover football, I talk with him. My personal impression is that he's an old school stand-up guy, and he met with administrators, and according to Coach Malone, he felt like it was in the best interest of everybody to resign.
Well, if he was in a classroom, Dick Cook, if he was in a classroom and a fight happened in the weight room, those are two different rooms, right?
Well, I think his office is adjacent to the weight room, Dave. So he was nearby.
So he was working on administrative matters in an office. He was not in the middle of teaching a class or something, right? He was doing some kind of paperwork.
That is my understanding.
Okay.
Yes. And I don't know what time of day this happened. But he was in an adjacent office off of the weight room. Two kids or more got into a scuffle, and he wasn't there to break it up. Now, I don't know why, but my impression of Coach Malone is he's a very honorable guy, and he resigned.
Well, he has. Go ahead.
Coming off of a season, David, where it was the best season in the history of the school in more than 50 years. They were undefeated in the regular season, 10-0. They made it to the quarterfinals of the state playoffs. They finished with a 12-1 record. And all this was accomplished while of course, Raymond James Stadium was crumbling and was going to be demolished. The homestand sides demolished in December after the season was over during Christmas break. There were tons of distractions that this team could have used as excuses, but Malone and his staff obviously did an excellent job keeping them focused, and they were a super achieving squad. Now, in terms of his resignation, I don't know all the ins and outs. I haven't spoken with any. Essentially, East Ridge High School is a closed shop. I have reached out to Tammy Helton on numerous occasions in the past.
Who is she?
I've never received any sort of word back from her at all. So I'm sure Malone had his reasons. He just felt like it was in the best interest of everybody to step aside.
This is David Tulis. We're talking with Dick Cook. Dick publishes East Ridge News Online. And Dick, on East Ridge News Online, your news portal covering East Ridge comprehensively, you've got a copy of Tracy Malone's letter. And in the letter, in paragraph 4, he says he was in the room at my desk working on my computer and not giving my undivided attention to the students. And that was a mistake, he says, I will have to live with for the rest of my life. I don't quite understand why he seems so touched by this. He was working, and he was not far from grown-ups. These are young men. It doesn't seem to me that his offense was really that grievous. I don't quite get why it seems to him so bad.
I don't either, David. I mean, I haven't spoken with him personally. I've communicated with him via text, and he emailed me this statement. I don't know why it's so egregious or why he feels compelled to resign, but he has. Now, remember, in the last couple of months over the Christmas break, there was a horrifying incident that the Ottawa basketball team was associated with up in Gatlinburg during a tournament, and where there was some hazing and an alleged rape occurred. I can speculate, David, that perhaps the administration at East Ridge High School said this is a new day and age, and they may have laid down a zero tolerance policy, where if there was an incident at the school that was that compromises the reputation of the school, and you're the responsible coach or teacher, and we have an incident involving kids like this, we're just not going to tolerate it. And that's complete speculation, but it certainly makes sense to me that, if Coach Malone had agreed that, yeah, it's a new day and age, we're going to have to crack down. If something happens, I'm the responsible party, and I will resign.
Yeah, his statement on your website, Dick, is...
Perhaps that is the case, David. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
We're talking with Dick Cook from East Ridge News Online, and on your website, Dick, you have his statement, and Tracy Malone says, I was not forced to resign. I simply felt that it was the right thing to do for myself and for East Ridge High School. So it's kind of guarded there. We're not sure what the thinking is, but it seems to me as I read this that it doesn't. It's not something to resign over. I don't know why I feel that way. It just doesn't seem to be, given the reporting that you've done and given the other reporting, and then this statement by him on your website that a terrible offense has been done against the people or the school, East Ridge High School, or the administration.
Well, I'm with you. I'm puzzled as well. And again, I don't know Tracy Malone personally. I don't know him well. We're acquaintances. We occasionally have conversations and, shoot the breeze, when we see each other in the city or whatnot. But I get the impression that the man is very, very honorable, and that his reputation means the world to him. And I know he's a family man as well. So, is there such a thing in this day and age as honor, where if you in your own mind believe that I have failed my students or my community in some way, and I am going to leave, I'm going to resign.
Right. Well, that's right. You're making the point, Dick, that even if the perceived scandal, it may be slight, but if it is slight, if you have a high view of honor, you will bow in resignation more readily than delay.
Mm-hmm. I think that very well could be the case.
Well, let me ask you, Dick. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you I was going to change the subject. Thanks for telling us about the resignation of Tracy Malone. But I think perhaps the larger story, as far as the economic side of life in East Ridge, is the buyout of Superior Creek Lodge. There's an important development there. You covered that crisis. I think it was in September. And what has happened at Superior Creek Lodge, Dick Cook?
It was announced, I think, on January 30th that the present owners, David Geisen, who I think lives in Kennesaw, Georgia, he has closed on a sale for the 5-acre property that has 4 buildings and 266 rooms. He sold it to a group of developers out of Atlanta called JDH. and David did not disclose the sale price, but JDH disclosed the sale price. It was $1.4 million. The property was valued, I believe, at $3 million, David. So JDH got a good deal on that. They have made a statement that they intend to renovate the facility, I think, which was originally built in probably 72 or 73. They want to renovate it and open up another quote unquote extended stay hotel. Mayor Lambert, I believe, was quoted in the Times Free Press as saying that he welcomes investment in the city. But I'm not sure that this might be a difficult sell politically from our leaders to convince the residents that, hey, yeah, we're going to have another owner open up a different extended stay motel in the same spot, and everything's going to be great, and we're just going to go on forward. It remains to be seen what's going to happen. I was at a meeting in City Hall the other night, and I was told that no plans have been filed by JDH with the city building officials in terms of what they're going to do. I was just down there yesterday, David, and there's nothing going on. There was somebody bringing out a trailer load of what appeared to be furniture that had been left there. I don't know the time frame about the renovation, but I mean, it's certainly good news in that another company has come in and wants to make an investment in the city.
Well,
Now,
I think, Dick, I think you need to back up just for a second.
Creek Lodge essentially served as an ad hoc public housing for the city.
Okay, thank you.
I think since Geisen owned it, he purchased it in 2007. There was a lot of people who were living down there, and our city ordinance, as it pertains to extended stays, doesn't permit someone to stay in a hotel room. I think it's 30 days, and city officials have said that they have some assurances from the new owners that their quote-unquote extended stay is not going to allow people to essentially have an apartment in a building that is designated as a motel. So it's developing. We'll see what happens.
Well, Dick Cook, is it understood by, or is it perceived by officials in East Ridge that this extended stay will appeal to and serve the lower end, again, the lower end of the housing market that was the clientele at Superior Creek Lodge? Or is it a higher level client?
I think the perception of city officials is this is going to be an entirely different operation, David. I think they perceive it to be a motel which could potentially lodge construction workers who may be coming into the city to build various developments that are going on. And of course, construction workers need longer term motels, and I know that there are reputable motels who serve that type of client. So I think the city's attitude is that this is not going to be another extended stay motel where it's essentially people who are poor have no other place to go and go set up housekeeping for potentially years in what's a motel, what's considered a motel. Now, I think they think it's going to be legitimate, and I think the track record of JDH, I've gone on their website, they've done a lot of renovations and built motels, mainstream motels, Holiday Inn Express, Clarion, Comfort Inn. Apparently their plans now is an extended stay hotel, and I think it's going to be under the brand of Budgetel, David.
Budgetel, and the CEO of that business is named John Patel, suggesting an Indian connection there in that industry.
Yeah. JDH, according to their website, it's brothers. It's Patel brothers. I think John, Dave, and Harry. So, and they're based out of Atlanta. Now, the city officials' attitude is, I guess you've got to consider that people are dealing with you in good faith much of the time. They're taking these guys for what they say they're going to do. They're going to renovate it and run a reputable extended stay hotel under the rules that the city has established. So, but again, no plans have been filed, and work hasn't begun. So we're kind of in the infant stages of the change of ownership here. And I think the city officials are hoping for the best, that we're going to have hotel motel taxes collected, and it's not going to be an eyesore. It's going to be a solid building that's structurally sound.
Right, and the Patels know the story. Dick, the Patels know the story that you've reported on EastRidgeNewsOnline.com, which I've carried at Nooganomics.com also, and that is the closure. There's that former the place formerly Superior Creek Lodge had many run-ins with the police. The population there are often sort of ruffianly. There were drug trafficking, prostitution, and some occasional violence. So these are people who are not they're sort of marginal people financially and sort of desperate. And the Patels probably don't want to have that kind of clientele if they can avoid it. So,
I would think not.
Let me ask you about another story quickly. Dick Cook of East Ridge News Online, and that is your story about Phase 2 of the road project in East Ridge. In a nutshell, what's that story about that you cover for East Ridge readers and other readers on your website? What's the story about Phase 2, and how does it affect the overall economic picture of the southern part of our state here?
Well, Phase 2, let's back up. Phase 1 is the rebuilding of Camp Jordan Parkway inside of the Jordan Crossing development that Wolf Fever Development is working on, which is going to be the Bass Pro Shop and other retail buildings inside of or adjacent to Camp Jordan Parkway. That is Phase 1. And I think the price tag on that was estimated to be $1 million, and it quickly jumped to 2.3. There were some partners. I think the county chipped in $1 million. The city shouldered some of that. So that is due to be completed in April, prior to the opening of Bass Pro Shop, and that is about a 1 mile segment of Camp Jordan Parkway. Now, Phase 2 of this road work is going to involve a rerouting of Exit 1 on Interstate 75 as you come north into the state of Tennessee. What it currently does is Exit 1 will take you past due east of Camp Jordan Parkway and doesn't allow traffic exiting from the interstate to turn left or proceed straight into the new Jordan Crossing development. Phase 2 is going to straighten that out, take you straight up to Ringgold Road, where you can go across a red light into Camp Jordan Parkway, into Jordan Crossing development. You can make a right and go east for various other reasons. Of course, you can make a left and go west on Ringgold Road. Phase 2 will also create additional lanes in the bridge on Ringgold Road or Highway 41, crossing over Interstate 75. So I don't think it's going to actually be in construction to widen that bridge, David. It's just there's plenty of room there to add additional lanes. It's going to narrow some lanes, add some more lanes to accommodate some traffic.
Let me ask you before go ahead. I want to finish off.
What we understand here is that Mayor Lambert has stated many, many times, and Mayor Lambert lives in the Frawley Road area on that side of town, and he has experienced firsthand the traffic congestion that currently exists in that area. It's darn near impossible to get around there on the weekends sometimes. So Lambert has stated many, many times, if you take the Jordan Crossing retail development out of this equation, this road project is still something that the city sorely needs and will benefit from in the future. So, and I tend to agree with it, and I think many people would.
Well, let me change the subject one more time. This is the subject number 4 with Dick Cook. Dick Cook is the editor and publisher of an online news portal. He's a longtime reporter in media here in Chattanooga. He runs EastRidgeNewsOnline.com. We have just about a minute, Dick. say something about, you're an entrepreneur too. You're making a living, you and your wife, you have grandchildren nearby. You're an entrepreneur. How is it going as a business? How is your news portal as a business that you hope at some point to live from, at least partly? Talk about that.
Well, I'm pleased with the way it's developed. We've only been in existence for less than 3 years. I sometimes forget that we're still a baby, but I think we're getting more traction in terms of readership. It's grown from 400, 500, 600 views a day. Yesterday, for instance, we had 4,300 views. David, I haven't monetized this as of yet. I do have some ads. I do have some very faithful people who buy some ads. They're reasonably priced. I've had trouble trying to figure out how much money I should charge for an ad that reaches roughly 35,000 people a month. But I'm happy with the way it's progressing. I intend in the future, if readership continues to pick up, I'm essentially a one-man show here, David. Maybe I can bring somebody on staff to go out and sell ads full time and start realizing some profit. One of the things that has helped me is I don't have. I've reduced my overhead by changing the host site by almost tenfold. I didn't realize I was quite gullible early on, David.
Listen, Dick, thanks very much for chatting with us. We really appreciate your chatting with us. This is David Tulis. We're talking with Dick Cook, who runs EastRidgeNewsOnline.com. Thanks for listening.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
After a few early morning clouds, lots of sunshine for your Friday. A little breezy and cooler. Highs struggling to hit 50 tonight. Lows 30 to 32. The weekend, though, looking great. Lots of sunshine. Highs tomorrow much warmer, around 60. Continue dry and pleasant through Sunday. As an entrepreneur, you're always on the go. Turn your mobile phone into a business phone with Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Get a local or toll-free number for more, grasshopper.com. NISOR's Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Hot News Talk 1240.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business and becoming self-sufficient. Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years, a 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. 875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Call me now, 875-5621.
While politicians debate climate change and taking our guns, they leave America vulnerable to disaster. You need to act now to keep your family safe and prepared. Do you have an emergency plan? Do you have long-term storage food? Do you have the skills and mindset to survive a disaster? If not, what are you waiting for? Call P5 Preparedness right now, 423-602-2175. Do you honestly think the government is going to help you? If you do, you are wrong, dead wrong. Don't get caught unprepared. Let the experts at P5 Preparedness get you ready for any emergency or disaster situation. Today, we offer a wide range of classes for the beginner on how to prepare, as well as the expert prepper. We stock a wide range of supplies, including long-term storage food, water filtration, outdoor gear, tactical gear, and plate carriers. P5 Preparedness, East Brainerd Road between I-75 and Gun Barrel Road. You will see the Army Deuce and a Half truck. 423-602-2175, 1309 Panorama Drive, Chattanooga. P5Preparedness.com.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, the home of Super Bowl 50. From pregame to postgame, the Panthers face the Broncos. Here on the exciting action live, Tennessee Valley's home for the NFL and Super Bowl 50. AM 1240, HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu at the annual National Prayer Breakfast in Washington.
Giving all praise and honor to God for bringing us together here this morning.
President focusing on how religious faith can help people overcome their fears and embrace their common humanity. It's its final presidential appearance at this gathering, held on the first Thursday of February each year. There's hope for people with type 1 diabetes.
Johnson & Johnson and biotech firm Viasite are working on a stem cell-based treatment. It uses embryonic stem cells. They're converted into insulin-producing cells, and they're implanted into the patient. They've been testing it with great success in animals, and the company say if they can repeat the performance in people, it would amount to a cure.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown. And U.S. productivity falling a sharp 3% rate in the fourth quarter. Fox News, we report. You decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A shooting on Brainerd Road caused a 7-car pileup yesterday at 10:45 a.m. An SUV was fired upon by an unknown assailant. A pregnant woman was inside the car. She was unharmed. It doesn't appear that anyone was seriously injured during this altercation or during the crash. The CPD violent crime investigators are still following all leads at this time. There is no suspect information or motive available now. The CPD is asking anyone with any information regarding this crime to call 423-698-2525. The investigation is still ongoing. More information will be released when it's available. The CPD arrested 2 men on Wednesday on Jersey Pike after seeing them allegedly smoking marijuana inside their car. An officer approached the vehicle and detained the 2 men. Further investigation revealed that the 2 occupants of the car were in fact armed. They were arrested for possession of a controlled substance and possessing a firearm with the intent to go armed.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Tulis.
Get your concealed carry permit class requirement met at Carter Shooting Supply and Range. That's the Tennessee handgun permit class you can take at Carter, which is on Highway 58. Carter Shooting Supply and Range, a great shop that has weapons of all kinds, weapons galore, ammo, all kinds of paraphernalia connected with the right to bear arms, which is protected somewhat. It's protected in Tennessee Constitution, though dishonored by state government for decades. But Carter Shooting Supply will take you to the limit that you can with your equipment and your training. That's at Carter Shooting Supply. If you need to have some preparedness gear, if you need things such as a bug out bag, make sure you go to P5 Preparedness, the store on East Brainerd Road. On the way between the interchange of the interstate and Hamilton Place Mall. Bugging out, the question is, where will you go if you leave your house? Well, a bug out bag is the answer, and the question then is what you put in that, and that is what we'll be talking about on the Patriot Prepper Show at 11, just after me, David Tulis, your host, just after I retire myself from the mic, my papers and me and all my notes. And Duke Nukem will be here, and he will be talking about bug out bags, what it is, why you need to have one, and the I guess there are 2 or 3 main versions of them. One for immediate use in the backseat of your car. Others can be brought aboard for longer prospects. This is David Tulis. We're brought to you by Trade Bank of Chattanooga, the smarter way to barter. And to improve your cash flow, you trade among 400 local businesses in every field, big and small, some national, some local. You can learn more from Jürgen Mutz, the German with the Southern twang. And his number is 877-2202, It's part of the barter economy. It's not pure barter, but it's close. And that's Trade Bank of Chattanooga. I get my printing done at Advantage Printing, right near the Belfour light on Brainerd Road. It's right next to the Food City, and it's near Robin Flores's law office, and also very close to Pelton, E.J. Pelton Company. They're all right there together. And Advantage has the blue awnings, and will make you never blue at all in your printing assignments. It does in-house design, digital printing, offset printing, of course, for large jobs, mailing services. And Alan Jones has invested in very valuable equipment that will let you make a gigantic document, something like 60 inches up and down and 80 feet if it needs to be. You can make something that long, in fact. And that's at Advantage Printing, covering all your printing needs at 629-1800. That's Advantage Printing. I go there. My homeschool newsletter is mailed from Advantage, always to my mom's Advantage. Again, the number is 629-1800. My newsletter Esprit arrived in mailboxes on Feb 1. That's my target date. Jeanette and I always try to get that out to hundreds of moms in the area who are involved in the great, wonderful enterprise of home education. Part of saying no, right? Part of saying no and patronizing the private sector is home education. The newsletter goes out from our keyboards and through the mailing the mailing division of Advantage Printing. We've been thinking about the forces of decentralization, and remember, cash is a part of that. If you go into the cash economy, you are coming into the free market, and you do that knowing that there is a war on cash, and there's a drumbeat of reports at the von Mises Institute at Mises.org, MISES.org. That's the free market website at Auburn University, picking up the work of Ludwig von Mises, the great Austrian economist, the free marketer. And there's a piece by Paul Martin Foss about the continuing demonization, as he calls it, the demonization of cash. There's an assumption that if you have a large amount of cash that you're involved in criminal activity, and he says it's going to be harder now than before to buy a car with cash, and it's almost impossible to buy a house with cash. So if you have $180,000 in cash and you want to make a transaction, people will look at you. They will stare at you. The staff at the mortgage office where the closing takes place, they're going to look at you, and everyone's going to want to see who you are, because the word will have gotten around that a man is buying a house with cash, and it's truly striking. And someone even may issue a call to the police. So this is what you face living in the free market. But for smaller transactions, well, I would suggest that we all use cash, especially if the person with whom we're trading is a local economy player, right? A local economy player, such as Ducks, the indoor professionals. If you use a credit card with Ducks, then Ducks, the outfit formerly known as Duckbusters, has to pay the national economy tax. It could be anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5%. Why impose a burden like that on a local family? Why don't you just pay with green rectangles? And that, of course, if you hire Ducks, you're taking care of your potential indoor air pollution problem, and you're having the mold and the mildew and the spider legs taken out of your ductwork, and that's the service at Ducts. The number there, by the way, is 876-9907, 876-9907. My name is David Tulis, and I'm contesting people who are saying the following. They're saying that far is better than near. They're saying that big is better than small. They're saying that complex is better than simple. Do you believe them? Do you, my listener, believe these people? And in the footnotes, they will not let you go. They will grab your collar with their fist and shake you. In the footnotes at 9 Point Top, they'll do the same thing. And they'll say that corporate is better than personal. They really believe that. They believe that abstract is better than physical. And you know what? You're starting to doubt that. You, my listener, are a savvy man. You, the man who matters, a sapient person, indeed, a cautious, a provident person. You, my man, the listener to this show. And I really thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. You doubt that argument, And we're gonna leave it unrebutted for the moment. I will let you rebut the argument on your own time, okay? But for now, we will have a word about transactions above $10,000. Well, of course, you have to file the CFR report, the currency, the CTR, the currency transaction report, with the good people. FinCEN's the good people who are the monitors of our freedom. And this piece at Mises.org ends this way. And so cash continues to be marginalized, he says, and pushed to the fringes. Are you going to let them do that to you? Stemming the anti-cash tide will require a societal attitudinal adjustment, he says, that views cash not as something associated with crime, but as a bastion of consumer freedom and a bulwark against overzealous governments. If you go into the cash, if you do cash, you are voting for freedom. If you use the credit card, you are voting for a kind of servitude. You are voting for the tapeworm economy, which is what the national economy indeed is. And so I would say if you're gonna have one of those great sandwiches at Wimpy's, or you're going to buy some foodstuffs for long-term storage at P5 Preparedness, don't use a credit card. Just pay with green rectangles. Be bold. Be brave. Make the transaction happen. Why linger over it? If you use a credit card, the transaction just kind of lingers. It lingers. Then there's a report filed about it. And then you get the bill. And then you write the check. And it's just hairy. It's like someone who's not shaven as the transaction. Have a clean shave on your transactions. Get it done. Get it out of the way. Be done with it. Don't have to hear about it later in your credit report. Why would you want to do that? Why don't you just have a simple credit card report every month with one or two transactions rather than everything on your credit card? Why have a mortgage on a sandwich? Why buy a milkshake at a restaurant and pay $3 for it and put it on your credit card? Why have a milkshake, even though it is the Hershey chocolate brand? Why have a mortgage on it? Well, the national system is out of gas, and we're taking comfort in two laws: Moore's laws and the Pareto principle. Moore's laws from Gordon E. Moore, who founded Intel, one of the co-founders of Intel and Fairchild Semiconductor. He observed back in the 60s, 1965 or so, that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubles every 2 years. And it's largely been true. It's largely held true according to the Wikipedia account of this bit of genius. It held steady from 1975 until around 2012. It says the rate was faster during the first decade. And generally, it is not logically sound to extrapolate from the historical growth rate into the indefinite future. So it's a provisional law describing the power of the digit, the power of the chip. Again, these are in our favor. These are in favor of the little guy, a guy like you. If you can have a smartphone, I'm new to the smartphone, so I'm just learning about it. But if you can have, how can they beat us if you have a smartphone? Okay, how can they beat you and beat us, all of us? You and 1,000 other people, you and 10,000 other people who you're the smart one because you pay attention to our show and read Nooganomics.com. But you and thousands of other people who don't think much about liberty at all, who don't think about ideas at all, 10,000 other people who just kind of live their lives sort of unthinkingly. We can all be freer if we understand the liberating power of Moore's law, which lets you have in your hand a powerful device and very interconnected device where they can't keep secrets from you anymore. They simply can't. The Pareto principle says that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. And so that we take comfort in this. If enough people go into cash, if enough people divest national and invest local, it takes just 20%, and in some cases probably just 4% or 5%. If 4 or 5% of the people do something, everyone will follow. So what do we want? What do we want to do? What do we, you, my listener, and I, what do we want to start thinking about so that our discourse will radiate out to the benefit of others, and we can all get them thinking in terms of our theory, right? Our theory is local economy and the free markets. Noogacentrism, for those who are resident here, meeting the legal qualifications of residency, you are Noogacentric. How do we become Noogacentric and not Washington-centric, not Madison Avenue-centric, or New York-centric, or Chicago-centric, right? I say Chicago because that's where the futures exchange is. And the futures exchange has absorbed a quarter of the national economy and created supposed assets that are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in measurement. Now, of course, there's nothing really there, but you can assign dollar values to them. They are speculative instruments, of course, that a number out into the hundreds of trillions of dollars. And there's nothing really there. Of course, these are just promises and expectations and bets and hedging. That's what the hedge fund, the Thornton McKenzie hedge fund, was involved in, that gambling. It's a kind of gambling brought into the economy thanks to Milton Friedman and the man who started the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where they finally grew up. They quit gambling on pork bellies and hides of and corn, hides of animals and corn and the wheat crop. They gamble now on much more lucrative changes that not affected by the weather, but affected by mysteries, human mass psychology mysteries, the futures market. Well, we don't want to be vulnerable to them, right? We want to be vulnerable maybe to God, right? Maybe to natural weather. And we pray for God's mercy, and we work hard thinking first about our neighbor. Well, these two laws, Moore's Law and the Pareto Principle, are suggestive to writers such as Gary North that there is a great boon ahead. And my poster business today is of Branch Technology, which is a business, a company that's developing 3D printing to the point where it's going to make a house in 3D printing. In other words, the printer you have that jets out ink on a piece of paper, that same principle can jet a house out of the nozzle. It will jet a house. And this is something that provides for future, faster construction methods, a reduced workforce, and ultimately cost savings. But the story at 3dprint.com says that few people, unlike Platt Boyd here in Chattanooga, are thinking in terms of an alternative method of construction for houses. This essay says, for one man, Platt Boyd, he has been one of the few who has recognized the fact that 3D printing's future within architecture and construction is too beneficial to pass up on. In this world, there are those who lead and those who follow. It's usually the leaders who make a name for themselves, ultimately becoming CEOs of multinational corporations or world-famous inventors and going down in history as innovators who have changed the world. These are the Thomas Edisons, Steve Jobses, and Elon Musks of the world. If Boyd has his way, his name may eventually be joining these men in history, and that history may just have had its start today. This is a piece from July of last year. And if you go to Nooganomics.com, you can see a picture of the printer in action. It is a printer that's making a bit of sculpture, but it can also do dull things like make walls. So you can print a house and manufacture a house in what is called cellular fabrication, or CFAB, which is a trademarked word. And it uses Branch's patented freeform 3D printing technology, using a large robotic arm with a little jet at the end of it. Then that jet squirts out the plastic. And this essay says that by this Chattanooga designed software and device, you can print unlimited volumes using a special algorithm to print very complex geometries without any requirement for support materials. So in other words, the material that's printed here in Chattanooga on this future 3D printed house doesn't require support material. It is the strength of the building. The building stands on this material, the 3D printed structure, which may have, in the wall, it may have also concrete. There may be foam. There may be an exterior or an interior cladding or wallboard. Those are all still there. But that is today's story. The story I'm looking at on this point is well, it's either Nooga.com or Chattanooga Times Free Press. Don't remember which. But Gary North talking about the trend here. He's talking about this trend being so powerful that we need not worry about Republicans and Democrats, right? Local economy is an apolitical argument. It holds that the politics, the idolatry of politics, the worship of politics, the expectation that that Republicans and Democrats can save us from our sins, right? And the results of our sins, that these parties' claims are not true. They are not true. North says, one by one, the movements unfavorable to liberty are running out of gas. They are running out of money. They are running out of ideology. They're running out of rhetoric and also out of believability. Meanwhile, Congress is building up a massive unfunded liabilities that will eventually break the bank, meaning the central bank of every nation. Keynesians will then lose their institutional support. This is happening already. When interest rates are at zero or even negative, central banks can no longer goose the economy. Governments can run massive deficits, but this will simply accelerate the advent of the great default. They're all going bankrupt. What is lacking is any kind of systematic political philosophy, social theory, and economic analysis which will provide guidance to decision makers in the world beyond the great default. And that's one of his great concerns. How are we going to prosper on the other side of the great crash? No one is articulating a philosophy or theology that will give coherence to a world of 3D printing when mass production will be produced through coordinating low-cost printers in people's basements. Do you hear local economy in this projection? Here is the problem. You can't beat something with nothing. That's another one of his common sayings. There's only one institution, he says, that we can be sure will serve as the coordinating factor. And it's not an institution at all. It's the free market economy. Any social philosophy, theology, or worldview that does not rest on the concept of the built-in sanctions of the profit and loss system based on voluntary exchange, open entry, and competing producers is going to fail. It is our job, our calling, he says, as defenders of liberty, to integrate the findings of the Austrian School of Economics into the worldview we proclaim as fundamental. And he is the author of 31 commentaries on the Bible, by the way. He says, in the United States, the greatest institutional enemy of liberty is the administrative law judge. You don't need to read about this often, which is greatly to the advantage of administrative law judges. The greatest institutional defense of liberty today is what it has been for 500 years. And this is a great note to end on. And you can read this at Nooganomics.com. And that institutional defense is the jury system. What we need today, more than anything else in civil government, is citizens who will vote not to convict on a jury because of a specific law is corrupt. We need hung juries and bankrupt administrative agencies. Case by case, jury by jury, the lone citizen who refuses to vote to convict because a law is corrupt is the defender of liberty. A hung jury forces the state to start over again. This increases the cost of state authority. Here is the trust we can't, here's the law we can trust. Moore's law is on our side. What we need now is lone jurors. The lone juror, maybe that's you, my listener. Thanks so much. Be the one who says no.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the